Hey there again. So, I've been doing a little bit more prep work for this here, and I kind of have a little bit more. I've got my tokens kind of going now for Jax and K. I'm not really sure. Oh, there we go. There's something weird there. Got rid of it. Must have tried to type something and it was in black. So we know that. So I'm using ChatGPT a little bit here. I really kind of like the AI stuff, and I kind of here you go, me trying to generate a Ewok name, which wasn't kind of coming. So I just decided that Jax doesn't actually know K's real name. She may have learned a few words in the basic tongue, but he has learned absolutely 0 words in the Ewok tongue. So I kind of fed a little bit of information into ChatGPT. So just kind of like, here's my setup. So my PC is Jax Kellen. He's a smuggler with a YT-1300 freighter. Grew up on Coruscant in the Undercity. Father and younger brother both killed. Hasn't seen his mother in years, that kind of thing. But Jax escaped, beginning to make a life for himself as a smuggler on the Outer Rim. The problem is Jax is currently strapped for cash and owes 50,000 credits to a crime boss. Okay, we haven't really figured out much about the crime boss at this point when I was doing this, but I've got a crime boss now. So Jax isn't such a bad guy. He's one of those heart of gold types. And a few months ago, he found himself on Dantooine and rescued a female Ewok who was in trouble. He hasn't learned a word of her language in the intervening months, but she has seemingly learned a bit of the basic common language. Pretty sure that makes Kay a little bit smarter than Jax, probably. He has no idea what her actual name is. He just calls her Kay. I'm thinking like, probably something he's like, what's your name? And she went, something, in Ewok. And the first syllable he heard probably started with K, so he just names her K. So that's cool. So I feed this into ChatGPT, and it goes, what an exciting setup! Great, well, whatever. But then it's like, here's a whole idea for how exactly we introduce the first plot hook, and I kind of like it. But we're kind of like, so it created so before that I had created my boss, I think, somewhere here. Nope, maybe not. Somewhere around here I created, or it created a boss for me. So, we got a scarred Trandoshan crime boss named Gruck. Actually, definitely would have been before this because it remembers things and it's like, greetings, Jax. I trust you haven't forgotten about our little arrangement. Of course not, Gruck. I'm working on it, but these Outer Rim jobs don't exactly pay top credits. Your debts are not my concern. I expect the 50,000 credits within the month, or I'll send some of my associates to remind you of your obligations. I kind of like this setup. So as the transmission ends, kind of over like the little hollow communicator, Jax kind of looks over at Kay and he's like, "We're in a tight spot, Kay. Don't worry, I'll figure something out." And kind of almost as if there was a plot that had to begin so that we could continue to go forward. He checks his data pad and there's a boop, and he finds this. So after searches, comes across this post: wanted, smuggler with a daring spirit. A generous reward offered for safely delivering a discreet cargo to an undisclosed location in the Outer Rim. No questions asked. Inquire at the Black Nova Cantina on Nar Shaddaa. Great, that's in Hut space. Awesome. It's also known to be a moon kind of around the Hut homeworld. Sorry, I can't remember what the Hut world is called at the moment. Bad Star Wars fan. But Nar Shaddaa is known for its kind of like scoundrels and smugglers and such on, there. So it makes perfect sense that that's exactly where we would kind of, set things up. Now, the only thing it did is that it kind of gave my ship a name, but called the Star Dancer, but I'd already called it the Driftwood, which maybe doesn't make a lot of sense in Star Wars canon, but I kind of liked it, and I kind of think it's funny. So I corrected ChatGPT. No, by the YT-1300 is called the Driftwood, because up here it was like the YT-1300 freighter, the Star Dancer, like correction. So it basically just apologized and then incorporated that and basically just did the whole thing again. Just instead of the Star Dancer, it's the Driftwood. So that's kind of funny. And so there we go. So like where Jax and Kay are come out of orbit around Nar Shaddaa. I'm thinking kind of something like that. We're going to be beginning kind of in the dregs of Nar Shaddaa. It gives I asked for a little bit more information about Gruck, the crime lord. It's kind of cool. So it gives me all kinds of information here, as well as, I decided to kind of see if it could kind of help me figure out fuel stuff. So I'm going to be using a guidebook here. Somebody created called Edge of the Empire Operational Costs, a guide for ship operators. So kind of making sure I'm going for that Firefly feel. So I kind of like this, that there's fuel you got to worry about. If you want to keep your ship flying, you need money, right? So I do use this. Do kind of like this, so I will make use of this regularly, and hopefully between this and Mythic and such, Jax doesn't end up completely broke and with a broken ship on the surface of some planet like the moon of Nar Shaddaa or something. But also I kind of asked for some personality traits here for Gruck. Kind of cool. So I've got Gruck, got a Google Doc kind of set up just to keep track of him here. And over here, I'm not going to be using Roll20 for the character sheet. The API is a little sketchy. It kind of works, but I also want to be able to roll dice. I actually do have maybe you might be able to get. I do actually have a set of Edge of the Empire dice. I actually want to roll dice here, and not just kind of talk about what the results are. But so we got Jax here as the character sheet, which is cool. But the character sheet here actually doesn't provide any space for the ship itself. There's no ship space here anywhere. So I just I entered the Driftwood as his as a piece of equipment. But it not really a piece of equipment. It is his home, but it is listed under the under his belongings here. But there's no space really to keep track of the ship itself. So Roll20. This is partly why I decided Roll20 might be a good idea. One, I really, really love this splash page that I grabbed from Swamp Somewhere. It really just is a recreation of exactly what's in the Edge of the Empire book there. But it's just great to really kind of keep track of stuff. So I've entered my current location. We're going to be beginning the campaign probably this weekend on Nar Shaddaa. We've got our persons of note, which of course are our main character and his trusty sidekick. Our network's going to start expanding. Already, Gruck should be here, right? But I just haven't come up with a Gruck token yet. So, all right. So, I actually took. This is actually a copy. This Roll20 game, this campaign here, is actually just a copy of the old campaign that I had with the group, and I just kind of took a lot of stuff out. But there's still a lot of stuff there too. I grabbed this online, so we've got the Driftwood. We've got an idea as to what the what is where on the YT1300. And I grabbed this, threw this in here, threw the tokens on here, kind of scaled them to approximately the size they should be, and that'll be useful for kind of whenever there's encounters on the ship. I think I am going to be making use of Roll20 a lot more than I originally thought. Got a space battle map that somebody had grabbed for Edge of the Empire. It is kind of a fan-made thing, as you can see here. But this is helpful when we get into some space battles. And I really do kind of want to do more than just blasting it out in spaceports and such. I do want to kind of have some space battles. The YT1300 may not exactly be up to the specs that that I'd be hoping for in a space battle, but we'll see. I got a whole bunch of other things here. All of these are left over from the old campaign, which may come in useful later on. But more importantly, coming back to that whole idea that I don't have a Google Sheet or Google Doc specifically for vehicles. I created a character here with it because I've got the API for the Edge of the Empire that somebody created. It works. It's a little wonky, but it works. I really only created. There is a character sheet, but it's not being used for anything. It's the vehicle sheet that I really kind of want here. So I've created the vehicle sheet for the Driftwood. Put in all the appropriate specs, and immediately I'm like, we need to, you know, deal with the speed and the handling and the shields. You know, especially since Jax has got a rather foul-tempered Trandoshan crime lord on his ass. So this kind of goes through everything else in terms of just the various bits of information. It does have the dual turrets, the dorsal turret as well as the ventral turret. So it does have the stats for that. So I mean, you know, not that there's much to do there, because I think the YT-1300s just have the turrets, which means they need to be manned. We're going to wait till the first session to see whether he's even taught Kay anything about how to use the turret guns. But that's probably why I kind of was thinking more and more Roll20 is going to be useful. I need this. I think we need some kind of visual display of things. This will be really handy just in terms of keeping track of things anyway. And then we'll kind of just come over here. I've got my, this is linked to my Google account here, so this is my Google Drive account for, or my Google Drive folder for this campaign, and I grabbed a bunch of Mythic PDFs here. So one of which is the adventure lists, right? So I'm still learning kind of how exactly this is going to work out, but we know kind of some of the threads and characters that we already have. So we know we got Kay as my Ewok co-pilot. We got Gruck as the Trandoshan crime lord who I owe a lot of money to. So in threads, though, so far, because we're coming back to our obligations, we got 2 obligations. One is that we owe Gruck a lot of money. And 2 is that we're very protective of Kay. That's not really a thread, though, at the moment. But that could very easily develop into threads, I think. So though I guess the way Mythic kind of works, for my reading as well as watching me myself and die, is the threads kind of have active storylines that continue to evolve until they've been resolved. So the first thread on here, though, can't really be resolved until I really fully take care of it in one way or another and decrease my obligation, my 10 points of obligation. So that thread's probably never going away through the campaign, or not for quite a while. At some point, we'll, you know, if this goes on long enough, then we'll deal with Gruck. And, you know, hopefully maybe even pay back the 50,000 credits and get him off my tail. But if not, well, Jax is armed. You know, we can always hope that'll be enough, but probably not. And over here, motivation equipment. So Jax has very few credits left. Wait, really? Is that all he's got left? That is all he's got left. He's got 25 credits to his name, so whatever job is on Nar Shaddaa better pan out, or he and Kay are screwed. I figured it out kind of based on the operational cost thing here. So when I go back into the equipment, I thought I kept track somewhere of the... Sorry, somewhere I kept track of the driftwood scrap. Oh yeah, it's in here. So I took over the attachment section here for fuel cells. So total fuel cells on board are 50. Currently, now that we've come out into orbit around Nar Shaddaa, we got 40 fuel cells. So he's still good for, you know, a little while, but he needs to start charging those up. He needs to have some money to be able to refuel the ship, otherwise the ship's eventually going to stop moving. Anyway, that is kind of where we are in terms of the start of, like, the setup of my solitaire Star Wars Edge of the Empire campaign. Again, this weekend I think I'm going to try my first session. I'm still a little fuzzy on how Mythic works. Edge of the Empire, I've got a little bit of a handle on because I ran it before and it's a little tricky. So there's going to be a bit of a learning curve here again for both things. I'm kind of looking forward to... I'm really kind of looking forward to Mythic as well as the Universal NPC emulator, which I think will come in handy. But I'm going to kind of toss in a bunch of other things as we go along. But to begin with, we're mostly going to use the Edge of the Empire core book. I got a bunch of cheat sheets for Edge of the Empire here. I've got the operational costs, a little guidebook. I've got Yoon, and I've got Mythic. That's probably a pretty good start. And, well, that's going to be all for now, and I'm going to kind of stop this recording. I know my recording here is meh, whatever, but this is mostly for my interest anyway. So if anyone else is watching, cool, but if not, whatever. It's all good. Take it easy.